Welcome and welcome back, everybody. It's Tia here, and in today's video we are going to be taking a look at Nemo's War, published by Victory Point Games. Now this video will be a little bit different in terms of the style of video. We'll be focusing on a review portion of our board game party. If you'd like to see a playthrough, I did stream that on YouTube, so I'll put a link up in the card and down in the description if you want to check out the playthrough separately. And the only reason why it's split up is because this game does take a little bit longer to play, in fact sometimes multiple hours, so I wanted to make sure to delineate between those two things for the review and the playthrough so you can watch whichever one or both at your leisure. Before we jump into the review here, I do want to give a huge shout out to Tabletop Tycoon for providing me with a review copy of this game so that I could play it firsthand and share it with you. My preconception about this game, and one of the reasons I had put off trying it for so long, and something that I heard from a lot of you when I posted that I would be doing a playthrough, is that this game is just heavy, that it would take a long time to learn, that it just might be really challenging to get into. Getting through and learning it the first time, if you're just reading it from the rules, can be very intimidating. However, watching a video of how it plays, seeing a couple rounds, then reading the rule book, and then getting into it and just playing through a couple rounds, I think is the best way to approach this one. And after you've played through a couple turns and see how everything works together, it feels very smooth. In addition to that, to help keep you on track, around the board there are different references that take you step by step. So even though as a whole there are a lot of things to keep track of, just focusing on the attack portion, you just go through the 5 steps for the ship's attack, you go through the 5 steps for your attack or so, and it's very straightforward. It's just die rolls and a couple additions and subtractions of basic arithmetic. And once you've played through a couple of rounds, once you've played through a game or two, that knowledge is pretty much all up here. And if you ever have a question, most of it will be answered by the charts that are on the board. So I think that was a really great choice for helping people get into the game, and something that should be highlighted as a feature to help newer players. Now, as I mentioned, the main mechanic of this game is going to be based around die rolls, which for me was also something that I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that. As much as I love dice and think they're super fun, I also tend to steer clear of games that rely too heavily on luck and die rolls without having any control as the player to modify or prepare for them. So there's a little bit of and there's a lot of good things that this game does with dice. So I'll start with the which is that at the beginning of the game you have 2 white dice you roll, and that will dictate the number of actions you get. So you'll subtract the values, and that's how many actions you receive. Getting a 2 and a 1, a difference of 1, is going to give you 1 action point, versus a 6 and a 1 will give you 5 action points. Yes, the 5 action points would be much preferred. There is the lull turn, which will help slow things down a bit. You don't get any actions, but you do get to use some saved up actions or extra actions that you have based on treasure and crew members in order to perform some more challenging actions at a lower cost. So there is that one piece of mitigation. Also, less ships will come out in later acts if you get a lull turn. So I do appreciate that. I wish there was more with that regard. It would be really nice to see something in between. One of the examples that comes to mind, and obviously it can't be implemented the exact same way because they're very different games, but in Under Falling Skies, if you've seen my review on that one, I really love that even low die rolls, which give me fewer actions, also move ships down at a slower pace. In Nemo's War, unless you get that lull turn of exactly the same die face, you're still going to be putting out ships regardless of if you get between 1 to 5 actions. Depending on your luck, there are so many different rounds in a game though that it will probably even out more often than not. That being said, the rest of the die rolls for the game are so amazing in how they play out. So in the bottom corner, there's a chart. In a lot of cooperative and solo games, I found that you'll roll dice, and based on the results of your die roll, you'll either get a success or a fail. In this game, there's an entire range of things that could happen. You can fail, or you can fail really hard. You can succeed, but just barely. Or you can succeed and blow it out of the water and get even more benefits. And I just think that that's so clever and exciting, because you can risk treasure, you can risk parts of your ship, and different things like that in order to help push towards a greater success. Even if you're guaranteed to win, you could try to blow it out of the park. Or if you're on failure, it's like, oh, do I want to risk things if I'm only going to succeed barely? Or do I want to just leave it at a fail? And I think for players looking at the game from the outside or playing for the first time, it can feel very lucky. But this is a game similar to, you guys know that I love ghost stories, where it's all about preparing as best you can to make sure that when it really counts, you're going to trade in treasure and ensure that you're going to get that big prize. Or you have to kind of pick your battles. You know, if you know that it's not going to go well, if the prize is not going to be worth the investment, you just have to say, I'm going to take an L on this one, and that's okay. So the timing of all those decisions is really key to this game. It makes for some really exciting and interesting choices. And I have to say, I never thought I would use this word to describe a game of this kind of weight, but this game is super fun. Heavy games, enjoyable, yes. Satisfying, absolutely. Fun, this game is super fun. Those die rolls really inject that into it. And again, the range of success that you can achieve or fail at really makes it exciting. It draws you into the story. And that's kind of the next thing I want to talk about as well, is just obviously we have this gorgeous art from Tool, this really inventive idea to base the game around Nemo and 2000 Leagues Under the Sea. And in terms of how it plays out in the game, it does not disappoint. The adventure cards are really flavorful. Even the die rolls in between adventure cards and text that's written into the game force you to kind of make up stories. So an example of that is the first time I rolled and got treasure but got notoriety because I barely succeeded in grabbing the treasure, my brain automatically had to fill in the story of, okay, so we left off on this coast with the adventure card, and now there was a treasure and we got it, but maybe we were sighted and someone put up wanted posters, so now our notoriety has increased. And it's that kind of mechanic that really draws me into games where not everything is given to me, where my brain automatically is going to go towards filling in the rest of the story and engaging me in creating the legacy that's left behind during a playthrough. I mean, I'm not one to focus on theme and story a lot, but when my brain is just naturally going there, it is such an engaging and amazing experience. And I can't praise the game highly enough for that. That was not something I was anticipating, but oh my word, I feel like I'm just glowing. It was so fun in that regard and engaging. And again, that's not something I personally necessarily look for in a game. And as far as the theme and story go, let's talk about the replayability. You have so many different adventure cards, you have different upgrades that you can get from game to game, you even have different objectives. So we have war, science, we have explore, anti-imperialism. Each of these objectives will give you a different win condition or a different scoring condition for the game. So in some games, you're naturally going to be incentivized to fight more ships. In some games, you're going to go out and explore. In some games, you're going to focus on upgrades and overcoming tests. In some games, you're going to focus on creating an uprising all around the globe. All of these things are fun to do based on those die roll charts. All of them provide ample challenges and considerations in terms of strategy, and all of them provide you and incentivize you to play the game in a new way that you may not have played before. So I think not only does this game really shine in the theme, in the excitement from beginning to end with the pacing, but it also has a lot of replayability. You're not going to feel like you're playing the same game twice, even after many, many plays. So overall, I would say if you are down for a really fun, engaging game in story and mechanics, this would definitely be one for you. If you tend to get really salty about die rolls, I would advise you to look into how you can strategize to prepare better for those die rolls. There are some spots where it does tend to feel a little lucky, like I said, with the number of actions you get earlier in the game, but that does even out over the course of the game, and certainly during that third act where you get more control over it. And again, like I said, if the reason why you have not yet tried out this game, if it's sitting on your shelf, if it's sitting on your FLGS shelf, if it's sitting there in your cart, and the only reason you're not buying it is because it looks too complicated to get into or too heavy, I'm telling you, that is not a valid reason. Do not wait another day. Do not wait another hour. Do not wait another minute. Definitely get it, play it. You will not regret it. This is a fantastic package and a great value with a lot of replayability, a lot of fun for multiple hours, even in just one playthrough, and I would definitely recommend it. That's all the time we have for today. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please feel free to leave a like. You can also subscribe down below for more board game content. And again, if you want to see a playthrough of Nemo's War, I'll put a link down in the description so you can check out my playthrough right after this. If you do have any other questions about the game, things that you're wondering, more specifics, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below and I will answer them as best I can. Again, big thank you to Tabletop Tycoon and Victory Point Games for providing me with a review copy of Nemo's War so I can finally play it, yay, and share it with you. Thanks again so much for joining me and I will see you next time. Bye!